All right, so before we go any further with the modeling, I just wanted to get some plugins installed, which will help us down the road with the unwrapping process. So this plugin I use often is called Text Tools. I'll put this link in the description, but you're going to go ahead and download. Right here is the download link. Just go ahead and click that, and then go ahead and open up Max. It's pretty easy to install. Let me pull back my browser here. Should be able to just drag it right in like so. And it'll bring up this dialog box. Just hit quick install. I already have it installed, so I won't go ahead and install it. But so once you have that installed, you should see this pop up here. And it'll always be installed at this point. So one thing you're going to want to do is you can see how I have it mapped up here to an icon. Just go up to unit setup, or sorry, customize user interface. For some reason, this always takes a long time to open. Not sure why. Then we're going to go to toolbars and select, just hit T a few times until we find text tools, which is right there. And then it's just a matter of dragging it up here onto the toolbar like that. And there's another one I also have, and we're going to use that in another video. That's called Quick Low Poly Stack. And let me see. Got it from this site here. Internet's kind of not working too well. Scroll down a bit. I'll put this in the description as well. Okay, so we're looking at this block of code here. So you're going to want to copy this and then go up to Max Script, New Script, and you might have some tabs up here, so just go ahead and close those. And then paste that block of code in there. And then if you go to Tools and say Evaluate All, that'll build the script into Max like as a file, and it'll rename it as Quick Low Poly Stack. So if we go into Customize User Interface again, and it'll take forever to open. And I believe this one is also under, it might be under keyboard actually. Let's just see here. Yeah, there it is. Quick Low Poly Stack, and it's the same idea. You're just gonna grab it. Nope, it's not keyboard. It's gonna be under toolbars, I bet. Yeah, so you're gonna grab it from toolbars, and that'll allow you to dock it up top here. So you have those two installed, and then another thing too is you should have the binds that I sent you earlier. So let's go ahead and demonstrate this next thing. We'll just do a box, and we'll throw an unwrap. And actually, before we do that, let's go ahead and convert it to an editable poly. Throw an unwrap on it. And yours shouldn't come in big like this. For some reason, I have something really messed up in my preferences that's making the UVs quite large. I need to figure that out. Just to demonstrate this other command that I'm going to be using, let's go ahead and just do a drag over this. And you'll notice I have ignore backfacing off, and that allows me to basically make a polygon selection through the geometry. If I had that checked on and did this, it'll see how it misses some of those sides over there. So I always like to keep that off. And you can, so if I go ahead and, by default it's checked on. If I check it off and go up to options and save current setting as default, it always keep that off when I open up a UVW modifier. Okay, so let's go ahead and just do a quick flatten mapping on this. And what I wanted to show you was a hotkey to stitch seams together. So we've got corresponding edges here that we can stitch together. If we hit Shift and S, it'll very quickly stitch those together. So instead of using, I think it was stitch to source, we just have that mapped to a hotkey now. And one thing too, you want to make sure is if you go to Tools and Stitch Selected, you want to make sure that these settings look like this. So you have Align Clusters checked, Scale Clusters checked, and Bias of 0. And if any of those are not like that, go ahead and check those on to make it look like this. And then go to Save Current Settings as Default. And it'll always retain those settings that you had. Another thing too is we can check this on, always bring up the edit window. So that way when we click, just like on this object, so if we were clicked off of it, working on another piece, if we click onto it, it's always going to bring up our UV editor window, which is kind of nice. So there you go. That's a few things that we needed to know before going on with the rest of the build. Alright, so let's go ahead and finish out the back piece here. So one of the first things we need to do is adjust the UVs on this, because when we made some adjustments here, we had to do a symmetry modifier, so our UVs are now stacked on top of each other. So let's go ahead and open up our unwrap, and we'll go ahead and isolate this, and let's go into face mode here, and let's do a selection right down the middle like so. And unfortunately we don't have a seam line here, so we're going to have to take some from this side. Shouldn't be an issue though. And then let's go ahead and hit break, and that's going to break the seams. And then I'll pull this down, and these pieces right here are just the inner pieces that we're going to discard, so I'll throw those up here. And now we should be able to go into edge mode, select this edge and this edge, hit Shift S, and actually that's not going to work because I think we need to mirror these horizontally. So we'll select this option here, which will mirror them horizontally. And now when we select this edge and hit Shift S, it should mirror. Yeah, there we go. And we'll do that. Grab this piece here. And then we have these pieces down here. I'm just trying to think of how we had it laid out before. So we have this cap here. I believe that was on the end. So I'll select this here. We have those two pieces. Okay. And these pieces up here, I believe they belong up to that piece. So do that and that. And there we go. Now our pieces are mapped properly, so if we turn on our checkerboard pattern, we should see a little bit of strangeness going on there. Let me look at this. That's this piece here. Let's go ahead and I think what we'll do is we'll just make this a unique piece compared to the others. So let's just fix some of the issues that are going on here. So I'm going to select this at element mode, do a relax by face angles. It's still doing some odd pinching. Interesting. Let's do that. This piece is fine. No, that isn't. Okay. So we should be able to maybe address that by just coming up here. And yeah, that's scaling it in a little bit. For some reason the relax wasn't doing that for us. We got this piece here too. We'll do the same on that. Ooh, that's always fun to see. So if we just do a quick peel on that, and then relax. Still some of that stretching going on. So we'll just manually finesse it. Looks like we got a seam right here too. Go ahead and close this. And I'm gonna grab this, hit Shift S. That's just because of the way that we map these. So I think what we want to do is reverse these. So we want our seam below here. Simple enough to fix. We'll break that and we'll stitch here. So now we don't have a seam visible on the top. And one other thing too is our uniformity of texture resolution is off. So let's select these. Actually, we don't need to do that. We can just do rescale elements, and that'll get everything properly scaled for us. And I believe we're having the same. That should be okay. All right, so we should be good from now on. And then we're just going to make these unique again. So it's not really too important that we match the UV shells that we had on the other strips. So let's go ahead and convert this to an edible poly. All right, so this next step we're going to deform it to this shape. And before we do that, we want to make sure that we remove any turbo smooths or quad chamfers that are applied. Edit polys are fine. So let's go ahead and look at some of these. Those look fine. These are turned off, which will be fine. Looks like we have a turbo smooth on this guy. Let's turn this off. Those are turned off, which is fine. Okay, we're looking good. Alright, so the next step is just to grab all this. Click the little utilities icon up here. Click collapse selected. That's going to convert it into an edible mesh. We want it to be an edible poly, so we'll go convert to edible poly. And from here now, let's actually, I should have done this before collapsing everything. So let's go ahead and temporarily detach this inner piece. So go ahead and element mode and then detach. Okay, so we just have this piece now. And what we want to do is we want to create an edge loop everywhere there's a seam in these bandings. So we'll go into wireframe. Let's go into edge mode first. And we're going to select the Swift Loop tool, which is always hard for me to find for some reason. And we'll just kind of start adding edge loops in between all these bands. And I'll go ahead and speed up the video so you don't have to see me clicking in between each one of these. Alright, that's going to do it. So let's jump out of wireframe here. Hit QD to exit edge loop mode. And let's go ahead and select our original mesh, click attach, and then just attach this piece back onto it. So we have something like that. And then unclick attach. Next thing we're going to do is let's go ahead and center its pivot. then let's move it up and roughly position it to that shape. Okay, yeah, that's close enough. Okay, and we're gonna apply an FFD 3x3 and go into control points, and let's quickly look at how this deforms. So you can see it kind of tapers in, and it's a little wider on the ends and front end of it. So to achieve that, let's go into the left view, go into scale mode, and just kind of pull it down in Z. It's showing Y because I'm in view mode. Should be, if I change this to world, you'll see it's Z now. Probably should have just done that from the get-go. Okay, so we'll scale that in, scale this up. And we can also even just move this around to kind of finesse it into place. And we'll do the same here. Something about like that. And we got a nice looking taper that we see in the reference. So one last thing is this part right here, isn't the angle's not matching properly, so we'll throw another FFD2 on here and just kind of tweak this to where it matches. Sort of like that. All right. So make sure you have this kind of the shape the way you want, because the next step we're going to have to convert this to an editable poly, which is going to basically blow away all these modifiers. So just make sure you got this positioned properly. So we'll go ahead and convert it to an editable poly. And now we have that piece completed. So we could, I think the next step would be to separate these back out into elements so that we can subdivide them individually. So let's go ahead and just select all these, and I'll speed this up. Detach that one. And this is our unique piece, so we'll leave it its own individual mesh. Okay. And then we can make these pieces the same. Go ahead and detach that one. It wouldn't be a bad idea also to, as you're going along, just to rename these. I'm not going to go ahead and do it, but just so you know, if you want to go into your outliner, you can easily identify pieces or meshes from that. Okay, and we have this piece down here. So let's go ahead and grab the Turbo Smooth and Quad Chamfer off of this and paste it on here. And we'll also paste it on this piece here. Let's go ahead and wireframe. It's going to kill our machine here. And these other pieces don't need the quad chamfer, they just need a turbo smooth applied. So we can just throw a turbo smooth on that, set it to, I think 2. Let's just see what 2 gives us. Always kind of want to keep the poly count down as low as you want, or as you can. I think that was set to 1. There we go. So set that to 2. Turbo smooth 2. And turbo smooth 2. And let's kind of stand back from this and take a look at what we got. Yeah, I think it looks like a katana. So there's a few pieces I'm not really too happy with. One in particular was this, and I had suggested maybe doing something in ZBrush to make that pop a little bit more. So we're going to go take a look at that in the next part.